Okay. Well, as he said, my name is Bethany Reiterman. I'm going into my third year now at Lone Grove. I'm a transplant, and I'm sure you've heard me say it 1,000 times, but I am from Ohio. And so coming into Oklahoma, it was kind of a shell shock of how you guys do everything. And so the fastest thing I learned, I guess, right at the beginning was that as ag teachers, we wear a lot of hats. And I know you guys have heard that over and over again, and you're living it every day as ag teachers. But there's a lot of things you don't expect to have as responsibilities as ag teachers. I mean, Tim Taylor had a huge list of things on his slide during his session of like being a social media specialist. I mean, there are things that you didn't expect in this career that kind of hit you last minute or you're not prepared for. But one of the main things I think that we kind of forget about is the classroom portion of it. I think Oklahoma has a interesting way of putting emphasis on different parts of ag that are very, very important. And I'm not going to sit here and say they're not important because we have livestock. I love that part of my job. I love training teams. I love speeches. I think they're all valuable. But ultimately, I think we forget what our main job as educators, specifically within agriculture, is educating those students to be consumers and educated consumers that can defend the agriculture industry regardless of where they end up someday. Because not everybody in your classroom is going to end up having a farm full of Angus cattle or raising corn, but they could end up in New York in a grocery store and overhear someone talking bad about GMOs. And right then and there, they can use whatever resources you taught them in the classroom to defend our industry in a real life situation. So one resource that I have gathered that makes my job personally easier is Ag in the Classroom. And a lot of you guys who are kind of fresh out of college probably cringe a little bit when you hear Ag in the Classroom because it was kind of promoted to us pretty heavy in college. But a lot of people think it's just for elementary school kids, and all of their resources are K through 2, K through 3. But I'm going to show you some resources today that you can use within your classroom or as an outreach program if you want to go teach those younger kids about what agriculture is. So first and foremost, I'm going to pull OSU out of my pocket for a second and pull the three-circle model, and I kind of already touched on it a little bit, but there are 3 technical differences in our career. We have the classroom, laboratory, FFA, and SAE. I don't know how your guys' programs necessarily run. Everyone, in my opinion, has their own emphasis and their own strengths within that three-circle model. But ultimately, everyone has to do those 3 things to have a successful chapter. So some people like show and livestock, and that's why they became ag teachers, and that's fine to an extent. But those other 2 aspects are equally as important. And I think we kind of forget that, specifically in the spring. When everything tends to hit us all at one time, we are preparing livestock for shows, we are prepping speeches, we are prepping teams, we're having fundraising events, we're having chapter meetings, all within about 3 or 4 months of each other. And then you throw COVID in there, and it's like, how do we do all of these things? So trying to take it back to the basics of, what are the requirements of our job, what are the most important things to keep in mind, and how do you keep that balance of the 3? So I'm going to give you a little bit of a background of what Ag in the Classroom is. I'm going to show you the website, walk you through it, show you how you can get resources for your own classroom, how you can utilize those resources within your classroom, and then some really cool events that Ag in the Classroom holds that can get your students recognized on a completely different level outside of your classroom. Let me preface this by saying I don't represent Ag in the Classroom at all. It's just something that I utilize within my classroom. I am in no way, shape, or form an expert. I really don't even know the basics about it, but I know what I've been able to use as a teacher, what's worked for me, and what some of my friends have utilized as well. So Ag in the Classroom, who here has heard of Ag in the Classroom? So all of you have heard it at least once. So the purpose is to familiarize Oklahoma school children with Oklahoma's food and fiber industry by providing resources to Oklahoma teachers. Notice how that doesn't say Oklahoma elementary school teachers, Oklahoma ag teachers. There's no specific career or subject area or age that this can go for, and I think that's what makes this really unique, is that it touches all different areas within education. So we're going to go to the website really quick. Hopefully all of this works. So when you go to the website, ignore the little sign up thing. Okay, so it's ok.agclassroom.org. And so this is just the once you open it up, you don't really have to go to any of this. The first tab is about me, and I kind of already explained it. If you're interested to learn about the history, feel free. That's not why I usually go to this website. If you go to lessons, so your two main options with lessons are either going by topic area. So if you're learning that specific week about beef cattle, you can go by agricultural topic, roll down. Whoa, yeah, wow, you're not joking. It really does move quickly. Animal agriculture, and then explore the different options within animal agriculture. So again, let's say we're talking specifically about beef cattle. It gives you background information, history about beef cattle, key terms about beef cattle, how to raise beef cattle. I mean, literally anything that you would need that's probably in your resources in your classroom, all on one little page. And not to be this way, but you can copy and paste it into your own resources. You can just take whatever you need from this website and utilize it within your own classroom without having to do all these Google searches, looking for specific things. It's kind of all laid out in this general area. And then it goes into the different lessons within there. It gives you the grade breakdown, the specific area that you're talking about, a little description. If it's a specific subject like science, English, etc., it gives you that as well. We'll look at one specific here in a little bit. But again, tons and tons of resources for lesson plans. And especially those of you that are fresh out of college, and if you're anything like me, your lesson plans when we were in college were 4 pages long from OSU. And I love that they prepared us that way, and they made sure to hit all the bases on what we needed for lessons. But it's not a realistic thing on a day-to-day basis as an ag teacher. I mean, I can tell you, and I'm sure you're the same way, 98% of the time I walk into my ag building in the morning, I have a sticky note right on my desk. First hour, shop, great, clean. Second hour, AgCom, we are going to go over resumes. Third hour, I mean, that is my lesson planning for the day. And the last thing that you want to do as an ag teacher is spend 24 hours of your day immersed in your job all the time. If you're at school, you want to be doing schoolwork and not take it home. If you've got a family, friends, whatever, have that time for yourself. So this is a resource that I've found that allows me to do that and keep that balance of not having to lesson plan every single night or have any of these huge lesson plans created. Let me go back here. So if you don't exactly know what you're teaching, maybe you just got back from OIE, and I swear if any of you say that you wake up on Monday after OIE and you're just eager to be teaching in your classroom and you're so excited, congratulations, please take my job, because I absolutely have no energy really that first week back from OIE. It takes quite a bit to recover. So let's say you know you're going to be teaching upper level high school. 9 through 12 is likely what you're teaching. 8th graders are there too. But you can go through all of their resources and just kind of pick something. I mean, if you want something specific, you can look for it, but there are tons and tons of options all relating to agriculture in some way, shape, or form. So for example, the one that I looked at that I thought was really interesting, headed by topic. Okay, so ag in my community. I think sometimes we forget, or I guess you guys were always in Oklahoma, so you know this, but every corner of Oklahoma is completely different from what I have gathered so far. I mean, you don't raise the same things in each corner of Oklahoma. So kids don't know that. If they don't get out of your little county, I mean, Carter County kids kind of stay in Carter County. I don't know about yours, but they don't explore a whole lot. So they don't know, different areas of agriculture in the different parts of the state. So this lesson specifically breaks down everything that an OSU lesson plan would have prepared for you. Everything from your objectives, your vocabulary, the key terms, the definitions, background information. And I mean, it even goes into the economic role in the economy, cultural role, all that good stuff. It has your standards. So if your school's like, which my school definitely doesn't, but maybe yours does, ask for your economic standards, what it goes to for your specific lesson, what it's kind of reaching. Your materials, it gives you step-by-step instructions of what you've got to do. So again, if you wake up that morning of OIE and you're like, I don't want to teach anything, I'm not feeling it, this thing step by step. You print that off that morning. You don't even really have to look at it beforehand. You show up second hour, it's right here. You open it up and go from number 1 and read on. I mean, it takes all of the hard parts of our job within the classroom out of our job. So, for example, those are all the counties within Oklahoma, and it kind of clarifies what specific parts of agriculture are raised in that general county. So it goes through all the counties, but then it also gives you worksheets. So depending on what application form you want, there's an easy one that's just question and answer. There's more of a vocabulary portion. It gives you the answers, so you don't even have to do it yourself. I mean, come on, super easy. But different parts of being able to apply it. So if you want them to have to take responsibility for their own learning, it gives you the URL to follow. So all they have to do is click on that URL and fill out the form without even having to you actually stand up and teach the lesson. Which I'm not saying you should do this all the time, because it is important that we teach, but take it easy on yourself sometimes. Use resources that are already out there and don't reinvent the wheel. This specific example also has a really cool hands-on activity where you compare like sand, silt, and clay to different types of soils. So it gives you all the resources you need, the procedure, and then it's right there all for you, so you don't even have to do the thinking part of it with that as well. So, I know that was a lot, but that's just one example of the thousands of examples that are on here in terms of the lessons. So, you obviously probably saw when you walked in the Christmas gifts that are here. The best part, in my opinion, about Ag in the Classroom is when you ask, they deliver. And I mean that quite literally. If you need any form of a resource, Ag in the Classroom has probably already created it for you and is willing to give you hundreds of those said resources. And we'll kind of go through that in a little bit, but I'm going to show you how you can apply for those resources and the best way to get it for your specific classroom. So if you go to the Resources tab, under Classroom Resources, there's this little thing up here that says Request Resources. Just click on that. It's an easy, who are you, where do you teach, how many kids do you teach, what grade levels, and then at the bottom, it gives you the visual resources that you can choose from. So if you're anything like me, this is stressing me out in and of itself, but I don't want anything that I'm not going to utilize. So I don't want to pick all of these things because it's like, am I really going to talk about green beans, elementary school activity thing? No, I'm not going to utilize that within my classroom. But if I want to see what it actually entails, they have the digital form of each resource on their website as well. So you can go through and check out, we have this example here too, the Ag on Route 66. The whole worksheet is digital as well. So you can go through and be like, oh, I don't exactly know what that means. I need to look through it. It's all here for you to go through as well. So they make that part of it really, really nice that if you want the physical copy, you can take it, or the digital copy is already there on the website. You don't even have to request it. So, and with this too, it divides up your grades, your specific topics, things like that. So it makes it really, really easy on you. Okay, let's go back to the website. They have different activities you can do if you want to apply, like with crafts or games. They have things like that. I'm not going to get into all of that because it's not really necessary for your classroom right now. But what I do challenge you to do is, if you've got some free time, just explore this website, because I found new things the other night that I didn't even know were here just because it was kind of hidden within the website. But let's say, you know, if you're somebody like me who likes to have a bell ringer every morning in your class, like something to relate to the lesson yesterday, a question for them to kind of get their mindset right for the lesson for the day. They have so many facts. They even have dad jokes on here. Let me see if I can pull it up. Yeah, I was like, what? But different things. I mean, this divides it up by category as well. So if you're looking for a specific area within agriculture, the facts that relate with that. most popular breeds, things like that. It is all here. If you do a lesson with like the careers in agriculture, this is one of the best resources in my opinion, because it divides each different area, like career area, and then it divides it even further and allows you to kind of explore the skills, the description, and what the preparation for each of those careers are. So again, if you can think it, it's probably already made. And that's the coolest thing about this, is it's done for us ahead of time. So awesome resources within Ag in the Classroom for sure. The grants, I haven't personally applied for them, but you know, we always can use free money. I'm not gonna sway you on that in any way, shape, or form. From what I've seen, it's more regular classroom teachers. Elementary school teachers usually win it, but I don't know that any ag teachers have ever applied, so who's to say we wouldn't win it? It's $500. I think there's usually like 6, it's right there, given out. So another really cool resource. I think you have to say why you want the money, but nothing super in-depth, not anything crazy. So another cool thing that they do there. I know that was a lot, and there's a lot on the website. Any questions about that specific part of it? Okay, so here's how I use this specific resource within my classroom. So I talked a lot about using it within your high school classroom. Obviously, the lesson plans are there, the resources are there, makes it easy. But the reason I really use it within my classroom, and we're talking about national chapter application and things like that, the outreach with this is awesome because, again, everything's done for you. So if you want to go to an elementary school and teach those kids, look at the insane amount of resources you have to give those kids. I specifically, my first year teaching, had a 5th hour. It was an ag lead class. It was full of juniors and seniors, and I was trying to sit down with myself and look at resources, and I'll be honest, there was not any good ag lead resources out there for me to teach, in my opinion. And I love leadership. That's one of my favorite parts of the job. But I didn't feel like juniors and seniors got anything out of the resources that I was looking at. And so I thought about how can I challenge what they've learned in ag so far and make them take a step further to now apply it in a real life situation. And so what we did in my 5th hour was every Monday and Tuesday would be lesson planning days. So we would divide up within groups. I would pair kids up, put them in groups of 2 or 3. Obviously contact your elementary school ahead of time and make sure this is okay. With COVID, you know, things might be different. We weren't able to do it last year. But Monday and Tuesday, they planned what they were going to teach those kids that day. So if they wanted to specifically talk about pigs, they looked up on Ag in the Classroom, what were the pig lessons we could do. Wednesday, Thursday, we were practicing within class. They got their resources. They were able to show me what they were going to do in the elementary school classroom so that they didn't go in there and act like high school students. I knew ahead of time they were prepared. And then Fridays were what the elementary school called Fun Fridays. And so we would go in, let's say one week we did kindergarten, the next week we would do 1st grade, etc. And we would go in and have an ag lesson for them planned every Friday. So not only is that teaching them something about ag, which is really important, but it's also a really cool recruitment tool. Because, you know, I don't know if you guys ever had an experience like that in elementary school, but I remember when FFA kids came to my classroom when I was younger, and I was like, they are literally the coolest people I've ever seen. Look at them teaching us all these really cool lessons. And I was like, I want to join ag. I don't even know what that is, but look at those cool high schoolers. Something as small as that will kind of be etched in their brain and maybe get them involved in 4-H or FFA once they get to that age. But there's just a lot of really cool ways of using this. And recognition, I'm going to go into that one, I think, next. How I got started with this is I just contacted her name's Melody. She's one of the resource people within Ag in the Classroom. She came to my 5th hour Ag Lead class and taught them, gave them all the resources, walked through it, walked through the website like I did, and just gave kind of the ins and outs of how to use it, the best ways to use it, things like that. But she brought us an arsenal amount of posters and resources like this that we could utilize within our classroom. And there's some pictures of my kids in the elementary school actually doing the lessons, which I think is really cool. Again, national chapter, really cool resources, easy pictures. Parents love to see pictures like this when they can see little Johnny interacting with kids and being an adult. Awesome. They eat that up. Some more pictures of them doing that. Okay, so some dates that are coming up that are different to get your kids recognized within this program. The coloring page contest, that's obviously for elementary school kids. I mean, you could probably try it with your high schoolers. They'd probably love it. But that is more geared toward elementary school. They release the theme October 1st, and then it's due January 15th, so they have plenty of time to do it. This past one was Ag Doesn't Stop, and as you can see, it's like two farmers and all these animals around them, and that was the winner, so, and there you go. The next one, has anybody done read an accurate ag book within Ag in the Classroom? A couple of you? Yeah? So it's super, super easy. I mean, there's no prep work other than finding a book, and Ag in the Classroom has it on their website, a list of all the books you can use, or you can pick your own book. But it's in September. They give you a week because they know ag teachers are busy. So they give you a whole week to do it, and all you really have to do is go to that classroom, read the book, give them a little lesson about it, post it on social media with the hashtag OKAgClass, and you have a chance to win a bundle of books. So if you don't even want to do the whole once a week go to the elementary school thing, that's an easy one-time thing that also looks good for a national chapter or your PLA. And the poster contest, basically it's the coloring page contest for high schoolers. So they get the theme, but they have to make their own poster about that specific theme. So personally, that's not something I would be interested in as a high schooler, but I've got a girl who's extremely artistic. I mean, she is just insane what she can make. And so she created her own poster, and she ended up winning the 11th grade division. Giving kids the opportunity to use those skills, an awesome way to get recognized. And that's actually hanging up in my classroom now. So she's something she's super, super proud of. So the key thing is don't reinvent the wheel. I mean, those of you that have been teaching for a while, you know there's a lot to do within this career. Don't sit at home creating lessons and slides and all these things when it's already prepared for you. And I showed you the Google form already, but definitely reach out to them if you want any resources, but I also have a ton of them for you today. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pass some of that out to you guys, and you can kind of look at it and explore. So again, I didn't go through hoops to get all this stuff. I literally called her and I was like, hey, I'm going to be teaching Ag in the Classroom at one of our professional development events. Can you maybe give us some resources that I can give the ag teachers? And she's like, oh yeah. Do you have anything specific you want? Nope, whatever you think's best. Boxes. So again, it's not complicated to get all this stuff. Don't think you have to go through all these hoops. They're more than willing to give it out. That's why it's created, is for us. So another thing too is that they're constantly developing new stuff. So a lot of times in situations like this, if they've got old stock that they're willing to get rid of, they'll give you hundreds of things. Or if you're like, there's not really anything specific I want, if you even say, hey, I'm looking for this specific thing, do you have this, or would you be willing to create something like this? They're more than willing to work with you to come up with something that you can utilize. So don't be afraid to ask. They also do, and I didn't bring all these for you guys, sorry, but they do some cool like little lessons. Like for instance, this one is garden gloves, and it gives you everything that you need: the cotton balls, the seed, the gloves, and the directions to what to do. So takes all the guessing out of it. You don't even have to go to Walmart. It's all here. So any questions? I know that was a lot, and I know you guys are excited about all your free stuff, so feel free to look through it, but one that you were just chatting about with everybody.
Well, I bought a few of these kits, like the pollination station. There's one like talking about bees and like honey wax or wax production, stuff like that. And so they made chapstick and different things, but they come in kits, and so the majority of everything you need for your lab is in a bag, and it gets shipped to you, and you just take it out, and you may have to, put a few things together outside of that, like water, whatever. But there's a lesson, like you can go online and there's a lesson plan for it and PowerPoint, and it's kind of turnkey type situation. It's worth the $24 for that lesson. And you can adjust it. And a lot of it's aimed at elementary kids, but I found it was great for my 8th grade, especially my kids who know nothing. And so, can you go let's go up and see if there's like a directory. Or
if you get a kit, how many kids does that work for?
I think like a class set, so like 25.
Okay.
Yeah. So like they have lots of stuff, but we also bought some of the seeds. Like we bought wheat seeds, and we have a little garden in our courtyard, so we grew wheat in our courtyard. And I mean, I probably bought close to like $400 worth of stuff, just a bunch of kits, and just use 412 money right at the beginning of the year. Like I bought some of the cotton just to show them, the seeds and the cotton, because we don't have cotton in Oklahoma, and there's just quite a few stuff.
Did the Oklahoma page have the Journey 2050 on it?
I know it had a little bit about it, but it didn't have.
Because I was telling some of these guys back here about that.
Let me look. I just saw it yesterday. That's what. Yeah, right here. Yeah. So I haven't done it yet, but it seems like a really cool resource. A lot of people have talked about how they've used it within their classroom, and it's been really a good resource. But again, I haven't. Has anybody used it within their classroom?
I did a workshop on it, and it's a fairly interactive. It's not like Call of Duty or anything, but it's an interactive game.
Great comparison.
Oregon Trail on steroids.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool, though. The kids can learn a little bit from it.
Oregon Trail on steroids.
Oh, yeah.
I tried using it, and it was one of those, like, it was a Friday afternoon, like, let's just do something else, and they liked it. The game, so this part it's more module based, so they have to do certain things. Everyone does the same thing to get through the lesson or whatever. Now they do have the opportunity where you can download the app, and it's kind of free play, and they can do whatever they want on their own, but it's not tied necessarily to a lesson. When you go through a class set, or in the classroom, it's more, we're going to focus on these specific things first. But then they can play it at home, like Farmers 2050, that's what it is. Farmers 2050 is an app they can download on their own device and play later. Pretty cool.
There you go.
But this teaches them about sustainability.
Yeah.
They can compete against other people across this country too, and you can visit different farms and whatever. Learn about trade and markets, things.
I also don't know, this is another resource that I've kind of utilized. I used it a lot when I was in college. The One Less Thing website, if you're training a CDE team, they have the whole kit for you to buy that has everything in it for each CDE. Obviously, not every single CDE is an option, but if you're doing niche judging, that's kind of what we've used it for. If you're looking for something specific, you can buy the specific type of thing you're looking for, but they also do like bundles. So they've got PowerPoints, they've got those little cards that you can do with the retail cut on one side so they can start IDing practice. And it breaks it down with all the different types. There's like 10 or so different vet, just a ton of really, really good resources on here too. Just one thing I was thinking about. They do subject like actual lesson plans too. I haven't used their lesson plans within my classroom, but I have used their CDE stuff. So again, you have to buy this, so that is the ones backtrack part of it, but it's still a really good resource too that makes your job a little bit easier. So